everybody, to Navel Gazing, episode 22, I think, or 23?
I do not know.
I don't know.
I forgot.
This is Jody, Eugene, the Valley Independent Sentinel, and it is Thursday, 2 days after the election, and we just finally woke up after working 74 hours straight. No, that's not true.
Something like that.
Actually, we were here till like 1:30, I think, on election night. And normally I'll be asleep for 4 hours at that time, but I went home and couldn't fall asleep for like 2.5 hours later.
Yeah, we were here till 1:30. I went home and I couldn't sleep. I reread all the stories. I was up till about 3. And then, I don't know, I think I was up by like 8.
Me too, I was up by
Back
7.
in the office by like 9, I think.
I was just
don't even
thinking
know.
about election. Like, I was just thinking about, like, okay, here's what we gotta do. Like, will there be a recount in Derby? Will, what's gonna happen in this town? What's gonna happen here? What day are they sworn in? Like, I couldn't, that was all.
Yeah.
So, speaking of recounts, we just found out there will not be a recount for mayor in Derby.
Right, the last, whatever it is, 19 hours or so in Derby have been, Foley wasn't going to request a recount immediately after the election. Yesterday he was saying no, and then he had a change of heart last night based on feedback he was getting from people saying, ask for a recount, ask. So he sent the email to the town clerk at 10:30 last night saying recount. She got back to him sometime in the last hour or so and said, I checked with the state. You can't have a recount because it doesn't qualify under state law. Yeah, you can't.
It wasn't close enough.
Right,
basically.
right. It was close, but not close enough.
He lost by 38 votes.
Yeah.
It had to be, what, like...
Less than 20 or less than a difference of less than half a percent. So I think he was, I don't have it here in front of me, but he's like, it was like 1%, 38 votes, something like that. Something like that, or a little over.
So it had to be
percent.
like 15 or 20 votes.
Yeah, so that was a very interesting race. I'm fascinated with the Derby race because, I expected it to be close, but I did not think it would be that close. And I did not think the Democrats would pick up the alderman seats like they did.
Yeah.
And I think some of it, like Carmen DeCenzo, he's just a known guy. He's a name that people know. And so he's a Democrat, and he got on there, Very interesting. And in my ward, whatever ward I live in, my representatives had been, Leonard and Jay Benanto and Joe DiMartino, and Leonard and DiMartino didn't get elected back, and they're both Republicans. And they got, Ron Sill is a Democrat. You knew he was going to get elected because he's popular. But Art Gerkens, the dark horse.
That dark horse.
He's a guy very involved in the St. Mary's, St. Michael's School. Got elected. I think that was a surprise to some, because it's hard to if you're a challenger, especially for an under ticket.
Yeah.
Your voice isn't out there as much. We didn't profile all the under ticket people. It's just.
And people don't voters don't necessarily focus on that. They're looking to see who am I voting for mayor, and then I get the sense that people go in and vote for. If they're happy with the way things are going, maybe they just vote incumbents.
Yeah, you just go, yeah.
Or they just say, I know this guy, or they're read up on the issues, but you never know what combination of people are going in and voting. So
I thought that was. I think it'll be interesting. Once everybody takes office, how or if the dynamic will change on the Derby Board of Aldermen. One thing that I've noticed about Derby. When you get into the alderman meetings, Derby redevelopment's the same way. There's two-party representation already on these boards, but they definitely, you don't know who, I couldn't tell you who, if you walk in cold and try to identify, all right, there's 2 Democrats on this board of aldermen, which 2 are, good luck. There's not really.
It's not
Yeah, there's no real, it's not like in some places, especially places I've covered before, the bickering is almost constant, but you don't really, I don't know, I guess it's just the way it is in Derby, at least so far. There was some stuff going on immediately before Election Day, but we're not around enough to really say for sure, but it seems like once you're elected in Derby, all right, here we go, we got work to do.
You guys just work together.
And I think in general, I put this on Facebook this morning under somebody's comment, two-party representation is pretty American. It's like apple pie.
Yeah.
So two-party representation in general is good.
Speaking of which, that was sort of the interesting thing in Ansonia, where, there wasn't a mayoral race because Mayor Della Volpe ran unopposed, so he's back in office for a 7th term. He's a Democrat. But on the board, it had been, for 10 years up until 2009, all Democrats. 2009, one Republican got in. He sort of, started making some waves and trying to push some issues that were important to him. And, it was one guy versus 9. There's 14 people on that board, so 1 versus 13. Now, this time, 4 Republicans got on the board, which is huge because their party has not been very active in the city.
That night of the election, when we sent in, we had a freelance writer. He went to the Republicans first, and there were 4. I think he said either
4 people there.
4 people and a child.
Yeah.
So.
Whereas at the Democratic Party,
they were outside on the street.
People,
it's a much bigger party.
It's just been more active for a while. I don't know. I mean, I haven't been here. People say it used to be the Republicans were more active, a decade ago, but for whatever reason, it sort of died down. And they have a core group of like 5 people who go, they're on the committee and they sort of do everything.
Right.
And those are the ones that run.
Right. It's kind of, and one thing, we kind of wrote the article. I mean, in my judgment, the news of the Ansonia election was the fact that 4 Republicans were voted. I mean, I don't think the news was that Della Volpe was reelected.
Because you knew going in.
Yeah, he didn't have
everyone
an opponent.
Knew. And no one was coming to the news site, any news site, the next day saying, did Della Volpe get reelected?
Right, that wasn't a question on people's minds.
The question on their mind was, did the Republicans achieve their goal of getting seats on the board?
Yeah, just the fact that happened is the news. And we kind of... I don't want people to get the impression that because we led with that, or that was our angle, that represents support of either party. We keep running into that in the Valley. And that's not, just because you write an article doesn't mean you agree or disagree with the news of the article.
Right, you're just pointing out, this is what happened.
Here is the new, and the operative word in news is N-E-W, new.
Yeah.
I mean, that's at its base level, so, I don't know, I keep running into that. And in Derby, too, it's like, that's not, we're not kingmakers, or I don't get,
It's true.
Anyway, I'm blabbing on about that.
The other interesting race was Seymour, where the incumbent was, unseated by Kurt Miller, who, he's on the Board of Selectmen. Paul Roy's Democrat. He lost by about 400 votes. And, that was sort of a toss-up because he's the incumbent, but, he had just gotten in. It was his first term, so it was sort of a test of, like, do people think... I don't know, are people happy? Were they just unhappy with Koskalowski when they ousted him?
Although I remember Koskalowski, when he lost, had said, we have it on video still on the site somewhere, because it was in that bar. I'm not sure exactly where it was.
I forget which bar it's called. Downtown, there's a bar.
Yeah, it was cool looking. It looked like something out of Martin Scorsese movie. But he said, hey, we didn't get our people out there. It could have been that
they just
the Republicans got complacent, and then Miller got in there and said, let's...
Yeah.
He definitely worked. He worked at that campaign.
How did we blab on for 8 minutes already?
Yeah, already.
That felt like 2 minutes.
Yeah, we're zombies.
We are zombies.
But I can't remember what the other thing I was going to say. Oh, you look at Paul Roy, you get in for 2 years, you get voted out. I don't... Why are there 4-year terms in some of these things? Like Derby, there's you got, the downtown redevelopment, they have schools that are struggling. What the heck are you going to get accomplished in 2 years? Mm-hmm. Like, I just think 4-year terms would make so much more sense and give voters, it would decrease the pressure on the politicians to try to I gotta get reelected again.
2 years is not a lot. Like, especially if you're new, you're learning the ropes.
Right.
You're
4
figuring
years
stuff out.
I think voters would make then you can make a better decision. Yeah, we want to throw this guy out. He's useless.
Yeah.
I don't think 2 years you can do that. That's.
The other thing I want to bring up, I know we're running to 10 minutes, but we should just go over 10 minutes because it's election. But Oxford, it was really cool. On election night, we worked with Paul Singley from Oxford Patch.
He was all right.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was awesome.
No, the collaboration was awesome.
Yeah.
I meant personally Paul Singley. I just don't find him. No, I'm just kidding.
I used to work with Paul Singley at the Republican, so
yeah,
I was used to him taking his shoes off in the office or whatever was happening.
Right.
No, okay.
He's a good guy.
But anyways, it was cool. We teamed up with who is our competitor. It's the Oxford Patch, and work together to get the results out simultaneously and to all our readers at once. And just because we're both small operations.
Right,
so.
yeah. The thing here is, and we're a nonprofit, so it's not like we're going out to steal their ads. How can we help each other, and how can we get the best, most accurate, timely information out to the public? That's our mission at its core. And that was cool. I mean, also the New Haven Register saying, send in your tweets, we'll have this live chat going. I thought I was really happy, I mean, we were running, our heads were spinning a little bit because we had, and I guess since we should talk about how the site crashed.
Yeah, we
I totally
should.
Forgot about that.
I had blocked it out of my memory.
Right,
I had totally, said it did not happen.
That was yeah.
So we're sitting here, it's 8 o'clock, 8:15, we're getting results from we had people at each of the campaigns, and they're calling in, and Eugene and I are here taking the calls.
And we had a live chat going on our homepage that was going, I mean, great guns.
Yeah.
It was so awesome.
Readers
People were talking to each other, asking questions, and giving their opinions on why they thought, what was going to happen.
Revision,
yeah, it was
and
just
all that, yeah.
Yeah, it was just, I was really having a great time.
And then I go to look at the site, and it's just, first it's not loading, then it's just a series of links from I think the New Haven Independent, which we are on the same server with them.
And we had, I should note though, on our chat room, it was we had 150, and then it was 30 seconds later, 200.
So
then
people were coming in
then
the chat room.
The numbers were just going, it was going up, like a stopwatch, but.
Anyway. So at any rate, then we're getting calls, and so in the middle of getting results and figuring out who won and talking to different reporters, we're what is happening to our site? So Eugene, you're emailing our tech guy saying hey, our site's down, what's happening? So readers started getting on Facebook saying is anyone else seeing problems with the Valley Indy site?
Right.
And
on
was
Twitter,
probably
people were
20 minutes.
And I think it was 9 p.m. I think on Twitter they said 9 p.m. site's not working.
So maybe I think it started at 8:30. It was probably all of a half hour that you could not access our site. But that half hour felt like 7 hours to me because every second.
Right, we were crippled,
Yeah.
and then it was. Then we had here. I mean, what was it? It was just two of us.
It was two of us. We had that one. The Ansonia reporter came in because he was right here in Ansonia.
There was one point where I was like, okay, the site's down. Let me go to Facebook and I'll post. We'll just.
Oh yeah, because he had filed the Ansonia story.
Right, we had the Ansonia results, like line by line, all the winners and losers, and I put that out on Facebook. But then there was a certain point where we couldn't get anywhere. It was just so wacky. We couldn't. We were just crippled I couldn't get anywhere for about 5 minutes. And then I'm trying to get into our site because what ended up happening, we were with the New Haven Independent, and they had a live chat going. We had a live chat on our front page.
They had a Google document.
They had a Google document. Yeah,
they were updating from the field.
Right. All this instant information. We had a Ustream thing ready to go that I never got a chance to use.
Yeah.
So we had thousands and thousands of people in New Haven and the Valley all hitting our site at the same time. Plus, with all these new, 2 covered live boxes, Ustream and that Google Doc. It just
overwhelmed our server.
Yeah, it was some massive amount of number.
Yeah, I think they said 60 times its capacity.
Right. There's a red flag where they call you up and and say, hey, code red. This was thermonuclear war. So I mean, it was frustrating.
The fact that they fixed it that fast, considering what was happening, is actually in hindsight is really amazing.
It's Kyle Sommer, because I think about it because we were so. I mean, I was depressed. I mean, I was literally depressed the next morning because I was like, man, that really sucked because I thought it was going so well and we had planned for so long.
We had planned every detail out.
We just never thought, hey,
what if the site crashes?
What if we can't use our computers? But it's one of those things, and we're a startup. You know what I mean? We're growing in traffic. It's just that's gonna happen. That's part of life.
But I think our readers were on Facebook anyways, and we were getting the results to them on Twitter and everything, and so. It worked out, and people got the results, and everyone was fine.
Our traffic, and also it's important to point out that once we came back, then we have to write the stories. I mean, in addition to, and this is how we differ from any other news organization, in addition to reporting and getting information out to you instantly, we also have to then write the stories, edit them, and get them out to you. So it's a huge. That's a lot of bigger newspapers. Maybe you'll just go in Twitter. And that's your job, sitting there with your stupid cell phone.
But then our reporters have to come back and also write it.
Right.
And
it's
then
totally
we don't have
different
an editor staff.
Totally
there's no
different.
copy editors. We're then editing everything.
So by 10 p.m., our traffic was back through the roof.
Oh, yeah.
I took down the fancy stuff. Our traffic was not affected by it. The next day, our traffic was through the roof. So we appreciate that. And Derby, the Derby election, just
Mm-hmm.
so for whatever random info, was the most read. That
Oh,
stuff got the most read. Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, I think that is pretty cool. But should I address that one guy on Twitter, or should I not even bring it
Nah,
up?
don't bring it up.
I won't even
This
bring
is
it
a
up.
positive newscast.
Yeah, we're being positive. You hear that, America?
You like positive news.
How are we going to get this online? It's 15 minutes long.
I'll just upload it. It'll take a couple more minutes, but whatever.
Oh, man.
So
All right.
that's election 2011, and we hope that you enjoyed the coverage, and if that you'll keep reading for the regular news, because we're going to keep covering the towns and see what goes on.
One thing. Yeah, there hasn't been a single post from Derby 2011 or Steferi for mayor on our Facebook page. I feel like I'm lonely. We've been abandoned. We've been used.
All right, bye.